Welcome to the Hilleberg Stalon XL, a very large, robust, modular tent that is fully capable of all-season, all-condition use. This film is a supplement to the instruction booklet, and it goes into detail on all aspects of setting up your tent. Use the menu to navigate to specific topics or simply watch the entire video. The Stalon XL is a very strong tent when used correctly, but it does require proper care and handling in order to function optimally. We recommend that you practice setting up the tent before your first trip. Multiple tents can be connected and individual components can be added and subtracted as needed, either during setup or after the tent has been pitched. This allows it to be configured in nearly endless ways. The Stalon XL Basic package includes one main roof, one extension, and 2 vestibules, all with attached guidelines and line runners, as well as 10 poles and 44 X-pegs, all inside the Stalon XL carrier bag. Individual components sold separately for the Stalon XL include main roof, extension, vestibule, inner tent with sewn-in floor, floorless inner tent, 2-piece floor, footprint, connector for joining multiple tents next to each other, and the Stalon XL carrier bag. Please note that the Stalon XL Basic does not come with an inner tent. Note also that the optional inner tents are in our usual yellow color. White inner tents, like in this video, for medical or similar use are available for special order. Other general tent accessories are also available separately, including various pegs, poles, tarps, and extra guideline. Anchoring the Stalon XL. The Stalon XL Basic configuration of 2 vestibules, 1 extension, and 1 main roof is 4.5 meters wide and 9.5 meters long, and the guidelines require additional space. Keep these dimensions in mind when choosing a tent site so there is enough room to move freely around the tent. We strongly recommend that you practice setting up the Stalon XL before taking it into the backcountry. It is much better to have learned the pitching routines before having to do so in bad weather. While pitching the tent, secure loose bags so they don't blow away. It's also important to secure the tent against the wind by fastening a guideline either to a heavy object or to a well-secured peg. Take the vestibule out of its stuff bag and lay it out with the front edge of the vestibule into the wind. Lengthen the 2 peg tensioner straps marked with red webbing to their longest length and peg them down. Press the pegs into the ground at a 45-degree angle until only the top of the peg remains visible. If necessary, use a rock or hammer to get the peg in place. Failing to put the pegs in correctly could lead to their getting pulled out in heavy winds. If it's difficult to get the peg in completely, try a shallower angle. Connecting the components. After pegging the first vestibule, connect the remaining components. Start with either the extension or the main roof, followed by whichever you did not attach first, then followed by the other vestibule. The attachment procedure is the same for all components. At the center of each component is a dual zipper connecting point. Make sure the end of the zipper is seated properly before pulling the slider to close the zipper. Carefully close the zipper completely, putting your finger in front of the zipper slider to make sure that the fabric of the covering flap does not catch in the zipper. When the zipper is fully closed, make sure to lock the zipper pull with the red toggle. Follow the same procedure when connecting the remaining parts of the Stalon XL Basic package, or when adding any of the additional Stalon XL components. Here we're connecting the main roof to the extension. Once all components are connected and you're ready to pitch the tent, make sure the red ground straps are underneath the tent and that the guy lines are not tangled. If you have already connected all your Stalon XL components, this is where you would start with the actual pitching of your tent. Unfold all the poles. Note that all the poles included with the Stalon XL are the same length. For maximum longevity and durability of the tent poles, it's important to handle them carefully and to put them together one section at a time. Make sure that each segment is seated properly and that they don't drift apart while pitching the tent. A small gap can lead to pole breakage. Always use 2 poles in each pole sleeve. Insert both poles approximately halfway into a pole sleeve, then hold on to the poles while pushing on the pole sleeve until the poles are completely seated in the closed end of the sleeve. Place the free ends of the poles into the pole tensioner cup and tighten the strap so that the cups are flat against the tent and flush with the bottom edge of the tent. When inserting the poles where the main roof and extension connect, use the pole sleeve on the main roof. Since the Stalon XL is such a large tent, it's helpful to have some assistance in setting it up, both to make sure the poles are completely seated and to combat the effect of strong winds during pitching. Before setting the tent upright, make sure that all zippers, including the entrances, are zipped and locked with the red toggles. Grab the poles and pull the tent out and set it upright. Again, having assistance will make this job easier. Holding the adjustable peg attachment points on the vestibule, pull and lift the tent to stretch it and to ensure it's straight. Make sure that the adjustable peg loops marked with red webbing are set to their longest. Then insert the pegs and press or pound them into the ground at a 45-degree angle until only the top of the peg remains visible. Tighten the peg tensioner strap so that the tent is tensioned perfectly. If the tension is poor, the roof will sag and the tent will not work optimally. Make sure the tent is straight. It's a good idea to make a habit of securing all of the peg points, including the ones at the base of the pole sleeves, as they provide extra security. Note that there are 4 peg points on each vestibule. Next, peg out the guy lines, which work best if they are as long as possible. They should be placed so that the tent is optimally stabilized in all directions, as shown here. Make sure to secure the pegs. The most common reason for tent damage is poor anchoring. Finally, tighten the guy lines, but not so much that the tent deforms and the tension flattens the top of the tent, as this can actually weaken the structure. Using the Stalon XL. The 2 entrances on the Stalon XL's extension can be opened both from the top and the bottom and can be rolled and secured with elastic loops and toggles. During the winter, opening the entrance from above creates a threshold that prevents snow from getting into the tent. With Hilleberg tarp poles, the extension door itself can be set up as an awning over the entrance. The vestibules have a large adjustable vent placed high up and protected by a hood. The vent itself is comprised of a no-seam mesh and a snow-proof fabric panel, both of which are easy to adjust from the inside. Ground straps alleviate pressure on the poles and zippers. If you need to disconnect them, make sure to move the pegs at the base of the poles to the inside of the tent or use extra pegs for this purpose. There are several additional webbing loops to which extra guy lines can be attached. Extra guy line cordage is sold separately. Dual entrances in the vestibule ensure that one entrance is always in the lee of the wind and offers flexible alternatives for entry and storage. Either one or two sections of the vestibule can be rolled towards the middle section and secured. Do not do this in strong winds. Never step on the door panel or let it lie on the ground, as there is a great risk that dirt, sand, or other debris will get into the zipper and damage it. Stalon XL additional components. Stalon XL inner tents. Please note that in this video we're using a regular inner tent with a sewn-in floor. These instructions also apply to the floorless inner tent. Please also note that we are using a white inner tent, which is available only by special order. The standard color for both the inner tent and the floorless inner tent is our usual yellow color, which provides a brighter interior. Unpack the inner tent and find the line of toggles on one of the ends. Since both ends have entrances, it doesn't matter which end you connect first. Find the red toggle in the middle of the line and connect it to the red ring at the top of the line of rings along the pole seam. Note that the top 5 toggle connecting points on the inner tent all have non-elastic webbing. Continue connecting all the toggles to the rings along the seam. The last toggle on each side is red and should be connected to the red ring that is closest to the ground. Repeat the same procedure with all the remaining seams, starting with the red toggle and ring at the high point and working down towards the ground. The Stalon XL inner tent sleeps up to 14 people. The entrances on both the inner tent and the floorless inner tent have 2 large panels bisected by a center zipper. In both inner tents, both panels can be partially or fully rolled aside and secured. Note that on the inner tent, the zippers at the bottom of the door panels need to be fully open when securing the panels to the sides of the inner tent. Both ends of the inner tent have large no-seam mesh openings covered with zipper-adjustable fabric panels. Lengths of guy line, sold separately, can be strung through the rings in the inner tent's roof, creating an excellent place for drying clothes, hanging overhead lighting, or other gear. Avoid putting too much load here, as it can damage the attachment points between the inner and outer tent. Note that when using the Stalon XL without an inner tent, guy line can also be strung in the rings of the main roof outer tent. The floorless inner combined with the Stalon XL floor, as shown here, provides great flexibility. The 2 parts of the floor are overlapping and can be configured in multiple ways. The inner tent can be partially disconnected to create more open space under the outer tent, which is particularly useful for dealing with gear or as a gathering place for a group. Both models of inner tent as well as the main roof outer tent have adjustable ventilation openings. These can also be used to accommodate forced air ducting for an external heater. The footprint can be used for protecting the inner tent floor or two-piece floor from being damaged, or as an extra durable floor when using the Stalon XL without an inner tent. Stalon XL Connector. The Stalon XL Connector allows 2 or more tents to be connected side by side. Unzip the door on the extension component and replace it with the connector using the zipper to attach it. Make sure to lock the zipper pull with the red toggle. Place the other tent just beside the entrance and zip the 2 together. Seen here is a Stalon XL Basic connected to 2 vestibules and an extension. Taking down the Stalon XL. When taking down the tent, repeat every step of the tent assembly process but in reverse. Make sure the tent is always fastened to a heavy object or similar anchor, or to a well-secured peg. Also ensure that all the guy lines are fully extended so they are ready for use the next time you pitch the tent. To remove the poles, loosen the pole tensioners and remove the pole ends from the pole cups. Grip the pole sleeve and, starting at the close end of the sleeve, push the poles out. Never pull out the poles. When removing and folding the poles, check to see if any of them have been damaged. If so, replace the damaged section with one of the repair pole sections. Put the poles along with the pegs in their bag into the pole bag. If necessary, clean any dirty pegs. Stuff or fold the entire tent into the carrier bag rather than disconnecting the components. If you do choose to disassemble the tent, unzip all components from each other, then roll and fold them and put them into their respective bags. In extremely wet conditions, remove the inner tent before the tent is taken down. Dry it and store it separately from the outer tent. Next time the tent is pitched, set up the outer tent first and then attach the dry inner tent. Remember never to store a wet tent. Dry it completely as soon as possible. Hang it up and make sure all of the components are completely dry before storing the tent.